week there are a few modifications and revisions to existing modifications. Yes, sexy though these are, you may remember they barely fit down at the bottom there. They're all crashing into each other and a little bit wibbly wobbly. So I found something kind of cool that's an alternative. And we have a new tyre. And yes, talking of tyres, the chap that fitted it is a motorcycle shop in Sedona. I found one, how about that? So there we are, we have another resource for helping out where my skills and tools fail me. So yes, revisions. Bouncing around on the front end, I found that these really are too tight to the wheel, and before they hit the wheel they actually hit the forks plastic rims. So I shall be re-elevating back to factory standard, if not a little bit higher actually, on those front forks, because I really like them down there, so I'm going to do that. Actually, I should have done this while it was still on the engine crane thing, right? Yeah, because now I'm fighting gravity. I have to lift up the bike and push the fork down. Excellent, that's one side done, with a little help of yes, our good friend the mallet. Well, they're shock absorbers, they should be able to absorb that, right? Excellent, job done, and a little bit more clearance, and with the help of a bottle jack. Yes, just to rest over there so I could put the weight on the other fork each time. So yeah. Cool. Meantime, we're doing quite well on the checklist on the electrics, and not so well on everything else that revolves around the bloody studs. But I think that saga is coming to an end. Seeing as we now know at least 4 people with welderizing equipment, I think I have spoiled for choice. Meantime, returning to many subjects, not least of all these stubborn studs, and removing things multiple times. I've removed all the hoses in conjunction with instructions from Chris, who's going to take this away and remove the studs. He is confident that he can do this, but he said anything in the vicinity will melt, so I've taken them off. Apparently the intention is to heat that mother up to red and glowing, and yes, anything attached to it would potentially suffer some meltage. So these turned up today, which was my clever answer potentially to the air filters crashing into each other. Yes, it's a 45 degree, and you can take that big fluffy hat off and just have a smaller one, as you can see. And I was hoping that might be the solution, but honestly it's going to be the same problem, because they're just going to crash into each other later, because they're even bigger than what we had before, or at least the same size. I think they're bigger. Obviously you could tweak them a little, twist them around, make them fit, but I don't think it's going to work, so sure, I'm going to use these on something, just put them back in the box. Talking of the R6, we have good news. Yes, Chris, the new motorcycle elf, has successfully got the studs out. So here's the irony about that. He didn't actually get them out himself. He took it to a shop, the shop where Derek used to work, and that guy got them out. Apparently we have a clean whiteboard, clean of ideas and notes, apart from the R6, obviously. Yes, the R6 is back and sporting a toothless grin. Yep, studs are out. You can see the kind of heat that had to be applied to get them out. Anyway, now I need to find some studs, I guess. And it seems from the stubs that they're 8x125, which happens to be exactly what I had for the Ducati. So I've got 2 spare, but they don't seem to want to go in very easily, which is worrying. Well, the same studs that fit the Duke do actually fit, but that's about as far as they go before they start getting sticky. So I think I need a metric tap and die set, because I've got my granddad's old set and I don't think any of it's metric. Yeah, I'm gonna have to chase them out, clean them out. The tedium endures. Anyway, that's what we need. So we need 8. Next job on this, I think, is to tighten all the hatches down, i.e. the calipers, get them all cranked down properly, and fill the reservoirs, and the same at the front. So yeah, I'll have to put the calipers back on first and all the pads in, and then tighten all this up and get some brake fluid in there, get that bled. Then we need to get all the hoses back in, clean out the threads on the exhaust. New studs are on order, and then we can put the pipe on, then we can put the radiator on, and then I think we can hook up the starter and give it another crank. Although actually the original starter is still hooked up, because I didn't want to bring any other variations into the equation of what might not be working, so I left that as is. It's been a while. I know it doesn't seem like it to you lot, but there's been quite a big pause in the R6 project, getting the studs sorted out, as you know, and meantime I bought these projects. So yes, there has been quite a gap, and I have to kind of put my brain back into gear as to where I was at with various things on this, even if it involves watching some of my own videos, which is a bit tedious for me. Well, talk about coordinated delivery from Amazon Prime. Thank you very much. So yes, and much better packing, I might add. By the way, over the recent weeks, I have to say that the packaging for various deliveries has been a lot more environmentally friendly, and I put this down to pressure from my viewers on this channel. Yes, well done everyone. Right, back to the matter in hand. Yes, we have a full tap and die set. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it wasn't a lot. And it's probably not as good quality as my granddad's, but it's more extensive. Yes, he used to smoke cigars. I will keep these just because they're his, and I'll use them for Imperial stuff. I used it on the MV Augusta. So we have a full tap and die set. So I shall be cleaning, and oh yeah, coordination. Yes, here's my M8x125 exhaust stud bolts for the R6, so we can get on with that in your own time. It's not self-closing, I guess. That helps. I even came with a free thing. Is it a large safety pin for aging punk rockers? I don't know. I'm sure it will come in handy. Anyway, I really need to get on with the Yamaha. I do, yes. And I need to put the brakes on, and the exhaust, and the cooling system, and I mean, you know, what's stopping me? Well, other things. All that. Yeah. Anyway, I had to buy another one of these because I think I threw it out when I was tidying up the garage, as you do. So, see, never throw anything out. Anyway, he's cleaned it up really nicely compared to the grimy thing I had, so that saved me a job. I feel like I'm about to do surgery, and I am. I'm concentrating on the R6, and we need the 8x125. Chase out those threads so we can put the new exhaust studs in. And yeah, while we're on the subject, that looks a little bit meaty for the job, right? And so it's a good job I didn't throw Grandad's out, because I can use that one. Much more gentle. So yeah, no sledgehammers here, and it's just a gentle, we're just, because the thread's there, just wants a little bit of cleaning out. So a little bit of back and forth as we go. It's quite decent, doesn't need a lot of pressure, as you can see, just fingers, which is good news. Like I say, the threads are there, they just need a little bit of a clean out. Cool. Excellent, job done. Now we're ready for these. And like
At no point did it really need any kind of big pressure. It was just a question of cleaning them out, because I could tell when I was putting the studs in that, you know, it's just a bit graunchy. Is that the word? Grindy, grambly. I don't know. You know what I mean. Just didn't feel smooth.
Well, I also wonder if this was part of the problem, because anyone notice anything odd? Yes, this one. Bigger than all the rest. Random. So it's, yeah, not all 8x125. How beautiful is that? Yes, it's a sight for sore eyes. 8 proper studs. Well, one's a little bit longer at the end there. Remember I had 2 spare. Yes, so we have exhaust studs, so we can start putting all the cooling system back in, and then we can mount the exhaust, and Yamaha will be preparing for startup. Again, don't hold your breath. Cooling system back in place, well, part of it anyway. All the pipes ready to go. Well, one up there, and the radiator. Oops, ouch. Yeah, so fan needs to go back in place, and then we connect everything up. Hope we've got, oh yeah, that's the overflow, and 2 other ones. There's those 2. Yep, good. We got bits for everything. Cool. Let's not forget that, which was dangling around in the breeze, if you remember, but you probably don't, because that was about 6 months ago, right? And yes, of course, our lovely radioactive canister. Yeah. Okay, test fit the radiator before we do anything else. And that other pipe that I hadn't bothered putting on because it came up to the rad, that fits beautifully. It's a bit stretched at the moment, and I'll explain why in a minute. And the other side fits beautifully, and that's all good. Not so sure about that. Might need a longer bit of tube. If you remember rightly, it's just a straight bit of tube, but there's enough subtle curves that it doesn't kink, and I might have cut it just a little bit short, but we've got plenty of that, so that's not a problem, and we can always revert to the standard. So here's the problem. You may remember it was waggling around in the breeze at the bottom anyway when I got it, and there's the mount that comes off the block on that central nut there. You can just see it there. So this has got come back quite a way to meet up with that bottom mount, and here's why it won't at the moment, and it would have done if I hadn't have put a big plastic tray under there. And I don't know what those 2 actually, they probably bolt into the frame, although I don't remember any holes in that location. I don't think so. Anyway, I think I will probably just take them off because they're just in the way. So I think Mr. Kawasaki can help out, and we'll just remove those, and then I'll have much more flexibility with the position of the radiator. So yeah, good test fit, and quite happy with everything, bar possibly that blue pipe there. Maybe that needs a bit of refinement, but all this will marry up as it should, because that's standard. And my coolant reservoir from the other side will come around and meet that top bit there. So we're all good. Yeah. Alright, I'm really excited about this bike actually. I think it's going to end up looking really good, and my only concern is getting it running, but I'm sure we can do that. We have the technology, and we have Chris, who's a little bit more reliable than Derek. So yeah, all in all, I'm quite excited about the R6.
well, I think it's going to look pretty damn funky. I still haven't worked out what I'm going to do here at the front, and indeed how the hell I'm going to mount the speedo. But it's going to have to be off that. I'm going to have to design something, maybe 3D printed. That would be fun and expensive, probably, possibly, I don't know. So probably time to refit the fan at this point, but of course I haven't got the appropriate screws. Hopefully I've got something that will fit. And that reminds me, yes, it needs to be connected to something, and it's probably in there somewhere. Yes. Come on, we'll dig it out. Luckily they're M6s, which I have a gazillion of, and unfortunately those are a little bit long. They kind of worked on the higher mount here, but they were semi-touching the radiator, and you just need something, you know, push it back on the thread and bang, your radiator's gone. So short and stubby is good, so that's what we're going for, and we got some of those, so that's good too. So that's all mounted up, and now we're just gonna have to cut these offending articles, and yes, that's some delicate work with Mr. Kawasaki, which I might be doing right now, because I also have to do some more delicate work with Mr. Kawasaki. I want to cut that exactly in half for the Suzuki. Kinds of wacky wooky going on. So both these operations are going to be a little bit tricky, because obviously you can't just clamp that up in the vise. Yeah, no, that ain't going to work. So I've got to kind of hold the radiator somehow with one hand while doing this with the other hand. And same with that, really can't really, maybe I can put it in the vise. Yeah, maybe that bottom edge. Alright. But this is going to be tricky. So I shall not be using another hand, because I haven't got three, to hold the camera. So you just have to trust me. I'm just going to take those doofers off at the end there. Well, they buzzed off nicely actually, and being aluminium, it didn't take too much effort. Burnt my finger obviously picking the doofers up, but yeah, job done. Yeah, cool. And a lot of copper involved in this process. Copper crush gaskets that seal up nicely, and then those crushed nuts as well. Yeah, got myself a little bit of room to work with. Getting crowded in here. First up, just pivoting it on that back mount loosely, and this beanbag's jolly useful, you know, because it can support you in any kind of position on the floor, and if you don't have a bench, that's very helpful. Anyway, so yeah, they're in. They're looking smart, ready to receive. Here we go. Well, this is right fiddle, honestly. Getting all four. So there's 4-into-1s, obviously, you know, everything's kind of fixed, rather than individual pipes like we had in the Ducati. So yeah, this is they're all hanging on literally by a thread, and what I think I'm going to do is now undo that, release the bottom end, so I've got more flexibility in terms of moving it around this end, because as you can see, it's kind of needs to line up a bit as I tighten those up, and I don't want to cross thread anything at this point. We've had enough fun with studs already, but yeah, getting there. Starting to look like a motorbike. I've got the back end out. This is now much easier to line up. As you can see, they're starting to go in, and I'm literally doing you know, 2 or 3 cranks on each one, back and forth, keep them all even. But yeah, looking sexy. Cool, so that was a mile out by the time I got the front end sorted, so I had to employ a jack just to bump it into the right place. Got all that bolted up, so we are all coppered up. Lovely. Well, I may snug those up some more later, but for now the exhaust is in place, and yeah, looking cool. Okay, good. What next? Radiator, yeah. So we're on at the top, just about, and pipes are all hooked up the other side. Next fun and games is to get that, yes, bottom of the radiator, to marry up with that, yeah, which requires a lot of leverage, not least of all, having taken those mounts out, we're still up against my tray to some degree. So this is fun. It's kind of a two-man job. I need someone to push it into place while I, or someone else, puts the screw in, because that's a captured nut, welded nut on the end of that there. There ain't nothing you can't do with a big old screwdriver and a bit of determination. Luckily there was another bracket, and I don't know what mounts to that, which allowed me to push on that, line it up, wedge it against the tyre, and get the nut on. So there we go, back where it's supposed to be. Pipage present and correct, yes, and the other side likewise, using those intercooler doofers again. Well, all present and correct, apart from I haven't put the my coolant overflow tank on yet, because I've still got to do work on the sprocket, and this boy here I think needs to be a little bit longer, for two reasons. One, it's, you know, kind of a gap there, and the reason for that is that I want it to actually push further back away from that pipe. I'm guessing the original did. So I just want, yeah, like another inch or maybe two, honestly, so that the pressure from being butted up against this and the extra length pushes it back towards the motor, which is nowhere near as hot as that. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, I think. We've still got to fill up all the fluids, the coolant, the brake fluid. We've got to put the tank on, clearly. And what else we've got to do? Well, we've got to try and start it again, which of course is an issue. And then there's the speedo mount. We've still got to do this switch as well. I've left it on the original, again, just for the time being, to rule out any other variants in the non-starting situation. So I've left that as is. And then of course we've got the seat. Yes, that's another Derek episode. Well, I've got plenty of this one, but that's a slightly wider ID. This is the one I used. I think I didn't cut it in half, so I think this is slightly longer, in which case it would be absolutely perfect as it is. Nope, it's exactly the same length. That's the bugger. In fact, it's about 6 mil shorter. Bummer. I'm going to leave it for the time being, because I think I can get some more of that pipe. I think I got it from Ricky Booby, actually, and so yeah, I've plugged that up again, and we'll just have to see about that. Alternatively, I will devise some kind of heat shield, maybe something simple like that, a metal coil around it just to protect it. Let's put the new brakes in. Well, we've put the new brakes in after a little bit of brain fade about how that bit fitted, but there's only one way, so it was just a process of elimination, and we've got to put the clips in, obviously, and then we'll get those mounted up. Well, they're pretty gnarly. I need to clean them up with my new tap and die set. Yes, unbelievable. So we got a 10x1 and a 10x1.5 and a 9x1.25, but not a 10x1.25, which of course is what brake fittings are. Really? Wow. Disappointed. We are calipered up. We have not connected those yet because I lost the copper washer while I was cleaning it. Anyway, starting to look pretty cool. I already said that, didn't I? There's only one thing more fun than ripping a bike apart, and that's putting it back together again and making it work. So this is very exciting. My only concern at this time is that it didn't kind of work when I got it. So, yes. Nearly forgot my nice little side panels. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, coming along. Right. That's a mean back end. If only it had a seat to sit on. I'm thinking I might just find a big bathroom sponge and put it in there, and that'll do the job. Did I overdo it?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. Yes, I think we've overdone it for this particular episode. So, thank you for watching as usual, and do tune in again. Do subscribe, and of course encourage others to watch my lunacy.